Welcome back to Drivers to Drivers. I'm Ken Cox, and I have a hankering for some lasagna. Today we have Francis Ham, Kenny Kuntz.
Howdy.
Behind the scenes we have Danny.
Yo.
Today's guest is Greg Paulson, and we are
Drivers for Drivers.
Greg Paulson. You guys might know him. He kind of owns the place.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for anniversaries, we've got Chris Bear with GLS for 1 year. We've got Eric Leishman for 4 years. David Meggs for 2 years. Victor Perry for 3 years. Daniel, Mulliverhill. I'm going to butcher your name, but he's been here 10 years.
All right.
Been driving for Giltner for 10 years.
Great.
That is outstanding.
Absolutely.
At some point, I think we should bring him on and see what he's all about.
Absolutely.
Birthdays, we have, Conlon Gilchrist. He's been here a year, has been over there in the tire shop. And then birthdays, we've got Omar, Brandon, Christopher, Michael. We've got Josh, Candace, and Rob. So happy birthday, and thanks for being part of the team.
You bet. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And thanks for all the years of service. Appreciate all that.
Absolutely. So as most of you know, and as most of you guys know, I mean, we're about halfway through the consolidation that's going on right now. What brought us all together and said, hey, you know what? There's a need to become one.
So first of all, when you guys introduced me, you said I was a big deal, and that's not really the case anymore. I mean, the fleet, I do my part, but
Sure.
You guys are a big deal, and so are our drivers. And that's really what this company's become, is just a really special thing with a lot of people that make it happen. So that's the first thing I wanted to just correct that. So
Absolutely.
as far as the merger that we're going through, I know change is a little bit scary for people, and so that's why I wanted to be on here and do my best to explain this. But it's a wonderful story of wonderful people that are fighting hard to take care of these drivers. And that's really the answer, is this is for the drivers, and you got a lot of people that care about you, and this is their idea. It's not mine. But it makes so much sense. I'm sure everybody understands the rates have gone down quite a bit from where they were at their peak in 21 and 22. As far as companies, we're financially stable. We don't make the kind of money we were making then, but we're okay and we're fine because we just never spend any money. But when the owner-operators come to us and they talk about their paychecks and stuff like that, and you guys aren't doing as well as you were, then that really gets everybody's attention. And, everybody on the surface stays pretty calm, but stuff behind the scenes is it's all hands on deck fighting to take care of you guys. And so with that challenge, we had people getting together, Francis, Jay, Kenny, Mark, working very hard, looking at this and what do we got to do? This is hurting some of our guys that we care so much about. And we started analyzing it, and we were like, well, I've got these loads coming from point A to point B, and then I get one of these crappy broker loads coming back. And then it's like Jay could go, well, geez, I have the opposite problem. I've got a customer over here, but I've got a brokerage place over here. And so you really look at this, and there are opportunities to cut out some of the crappy freight. So for a period of time, they've been working at this, and they've been trying to share these loads and everything. And they've made some progress, and you can tell, some of you guys will be hauling loads for a customer that you haven't necessarily seen before, and that'll be either the GLS carriers or the fleets because we're working together so well. But you can never do it like we're going to do it. And by putting everybody together, it's like doubling the effectiveness of this. For one, is the fleet has a bunch of customers that are really good customers that require drop trailers. And so a substantial portion of the fleet's freight has just not been available to the GLS carriers drivers. And then I don't want to say too much because it's not like the fleet in Jerome is taking care of GLS carriers, because that's not the case either. GLS carriers has some very good customers. And that freight is now going to be available more so to the guys in Jerome. By being in one system, we are going to be so much better. And it's funny, the other thing I really wanted to comment, I was thinking about this the other day, is, when you put together a marriage, you can't take two unhealthy people or one healthy and one unhealthy. But when we look at what's important to us, the number one is safety. And you right now are combining, if you go to the state of Idaho with the Idaho truck driving, you literally are combining number one in the GLS carrier size fleets and number one in the Giltner carrier fleets. So right there, you got two healthy companies coming together, take care of these wonderful drivers. Not only are the rates going to go up, these drop trailers are going to help your utilization go up. We're going to cut out some of those crappy brokers. We don't like them anyways. And then we're going to continue being safe as we are. Francis and Jake and everybody putting their heads together. They're attacking some of those costs that drive us all crazy. I think we're onto a little something on our tires, and we're got some other place we're going to make progress as well. Another thing that I was thinking about just on the way here, and I'll stop thinking of things, but isn't this this driver for driver thing is so fun. And I was watching this here a while back, and I was like, wow, that is really cool. And it's entertaining. Like, I watch a lot of podcasts, and this is about as good as it gets.
Thank you.
It's good. It's good. You guys are good at this. And
We're getting there. We're going.
No, you're very good.
Dehydrated today.
It's hydration. It's key. Write that down. Hydration.
But I think it's so good that we've got to do stuff like this for both fleets.
Absolutely.
And one last thing is I was, who was it? It was Mandy was visiting with one of our drivers, I think a couple days ago, and they were going through this and how it's going to impact him, because we've got some people testing the waters and getting over there. And it's just so little things, like we've got, it was the fact that the fleet in Jerome has 24/7 on-call. You've literally got a person there 24/7.
Yep.
And then if you walk through this, we've still even combined, we've got a couple dead spots, and we can send our salespeople into one place. They can say, I'm with one trucking company, Giltner Transportation, and it's this is how many trucks. I mean, you guys are pushing 300 trucks if all this comes together just right, and we can get people's attention that way. And rather than, I got this many trucks from here and this many trucks from here, and you need to be set up with this 3 times. At the end of the day, this is it's not my idea. It's really good people coming together wanting to take care of you drivers, and they're going to get it done. So we just appreciate you guys that much, and appreciate these guys that are working so hard and doing unselfish, hard-working things that make a ton of sense. So we just appreciate everybody making this happen.
You bet. You bet. And some of the other things that we're working on too, I mean, we're trying to reduce the deadhead. There's a lot of deadhead out of there, and I think by us consolidating this and bringing it together, we can kind of eliminate some of that. So we're working on that. And then as we come together and we really look at our map on where we run and the areas we run into, that's going to help us focus back with our sales department. Dan, on where Dan goes and talks to these customers in these areas, so we can grow in those areas where we typically land, in our trucks. So that's another big thing that we're working on right now. I think if we can get that mastered, that's going to help us considerably in that area as well. And then the third thing is our customers right now. We've got some great customers that we haul for. And this will give us additional capacity with some of those customers. We've been limited on the number of loads we can haul. Well, when we get a fleet that's 300 trucks in size, that really gives us some capacity to help our customers as well. And in this market right now, that's really what we need to be doing. So good stuff.
We've got one customer in particular that is really taking off and growing, and they're a big story, and you're so close with those guys.
Yep.
And we're literally going to make a difference in their company's life.
Yep.
They need us right now, and they need this kind of horsepower that we're going to give them. So
Absolutely.
it's I can see that on that side in a big way.
We've got some customers that both Giltner and GLS have always taken care of business for them. There's some lanes that we've covered together. We both we strive for customer satisfaction. That's what we've always done, and our team has done just an amazing job. Our drivers out there that are hauling this freight and getting it there. And really that's what's cultivated these relationships with these customers that we have and make us their preferred carrier. So when we talk to them about, hey, coming together, they were all for it. They're like, yeah, great, let's do it, so good stuff.
It speaks volumes for the drivers that are out there doing the hard work.
Yep.
Point A to point B on time. They're dressed well. They look nice. They've got smiles on their faces, and that goes a long way. That goes, and the customers see that, and so that also brings a lot into it.
They're hydrated.
They're hydrated.
That's right.
Another thing is we're only 10 miles apart from each other, you know, and so we're competing in the same market for drivers. You know, that'll be eliminated as well. You can live anywhere in the United States and drive for Giltner, you know, and we will try to tailor around that too. You know, look for lanes that'll get you through home. You know, a lot of lanes that they run, we don't currently run, but now we can, you know. So that helps out a lot. I've known Greg for quite a while. And it's kind of a theme, you know, you start up gap factoring to help drivers get paid faster. You start up driver advantage to help drivers if they want to get their own authority and their own insurance. Started up the driver advantage for insurance. The theme is always the same. It's for the driver. You know,
Absolutely.
I hear that there's talk for substantial raises for us three in here, and I just want to thank you. Thought I'd throw that out there with the hydration.
That's right.
No, but it's a good thing. You know, you're always looking at the driver. You're looking at safe equipment, the nicest equipment, the safest equipment out there. You know, you're always striving for that, and we appreciate that.
You bet.
Absolutely.
And, you know, earlier this week, I was out in Jerome, and I got to spend some time going out into the shop and stuff and talking to the guys out there, too, Mike and Brian, and some of the technicians. And that's another piece that's going to help the GLS side. Now we're going to have that shop kind of available too as we come in and out of there all the time, and that's another big piece of it. You know, when a guy has a problem, needs something taken a look at or whatever, we can wheel in there and get it taken care of, get back out on the road.
And they work in there all day long. It's just go, go, go.
Yep.
I'm just the great people.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, and tires kind of works like fuel. The more buying power you have, the better deal on some tires you get.
Yep.
You know, a smaller company, GLS or Giltner, is quite a bit bigger than GLS. We just didn't have the buying power like we will together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll help as well.
This little project of working on tires, we've got one of our tire vendors that's actually come to us and took a pretty deep cut into the price of tires. And that's not only going to help us as a fleet, but it's going to help our owner-operators too. You know, when you're going to buy tires and whatnot, we're going to have a little better attractive prices for you to look at on getting those tires through us. So that's a good thing there too.
For sure. Keeps us safe.
Yep.
So one of Greg's last things, he had mentioned that we were safe in both categories. And what he was talking about there is the ITA, Idaho Trucking Association, has an annual convention. And then they give out awards. So GLS carriers took first place between 0 to 500,000 miles, accident-free. And then Giltner took first place between 1 million to 3 million. And I bring that up because, I mean, that's awesome that you guys out there doing the good work. But we also got Dave Shattuck became Driver of the Year. And I don't know if you've ever met Dave. He's out there with his camera. He's a really good guy. Participated in the TDC, took first place, went out to nationals, showed them out there what Idaho's about, and then came back and then got Driver of the Year. So Dave, awesome. Appreciate
Dave.
everything you're doing.
Very good.
What rumors have you guys heard with all of this coming along? You know, I know I've heard one about, well, it's because GLS is failing or because Giltner's failing or something like that. And obviously that's not the case. I mean,
Right.
that isn't it. But there are other rumors out there, and I'm curious to know if you guys have heard.
I heard one. You know, I had one of the drivers come up to me and ask me, so does this mean I'm going to lose my lane? You know,
sure.
that they really like, and absolutely not. Absolutely not. That lane is going to be there. It's always going to be there as long as we have the customers on that lane. Mm-hmm. And I know that's a dedicated lane for them. And no, there's no plans on taking people off of lanes. There's plans of offering additional lanes. You know,
Yep.
so it's just a growth coming together. We're not taking away anything. That's for sure.
Yeah, some drivers are worried about if they were going to have to go into a different truck as well. You know, they got their truck set up the way they like it. They're comfortable with it. And no, that ain't the case either. We're getting them put through orientation as quickly as we can. We're getting their trucks debadged and rebadged. So, no, you can stay in your own truck if that's what you want. If you want a different brand of truck, there's some to choose from over there that are available. Mm-hmm. So there is that option as well.
Yeah.
Those internationals are getting, what, like 8 miles a gallon?
Yeah, 7.89 on 12,000 miles in 1 month. So
My goodness.
that's pretty good mileage.
That's good mileage.
Well, we talked about it one time, you and I, Kenny. We looked at it, that fuel mileage. If you were running from Jerome to North Carolina and back doing that, you could actually run one of those trips with
Fuel free.
Fuel free.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that kind of fuel mileage. It's crazy, but it's awesome. And we got some of those available right now.
Danny,
That was a good question.
do you have a question?
I do have a question.
What's your question?
What steps should somebody take if they make a mistake?
So what steps should a driver take if they make a mistake? Greg?
Own up to the mistake for one.
Yeah, I mean, as a leadership team, we believe in taking care of each other, but then the next one is taking ownership for anything you do wrong. Bad news doesn't get better with time, so we get after it and communicate and get help, because we're all here to help you, and we're realistic. I mean, a lot's going on. There's going to be some mistakes, unfortunately, but get help. We'll fix them quick.
So if you sat through one of my orientations, it's the first thing I go over is integrity. Like, if you've got integrity and you come out and you say, I backed into somebody, or I left half my load back in New Jersey.
Please stop if that happens and call immediately.
It comes down to integrity. Just call in and say, look, I know I messed up. Hey, we get that. Mistakes happen. Let's fix it. But if you go on and like you were saying, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And usually in trucking, the longer you wait on something, the more money it ends up costing. And it ended up costing you. And so it's integrity for sure.
And it depends on what the issue is. If it's something that's related to the truck and trailer, maybe icy conditions, you slide off the road or something like that. There's times when, hey, you just stop. You throw the flag right there, you're done. And then you get help and you resolve it. You don't want to do something that could further the issue, and possibly do a lot of damage to a vehicle or something like that, or even hurt yourself. So that's one. The other thing is, let's say you pick up a load and you're running across the country and you got inclement weather. It's pretty nasty out there, and you realize that, you know what, I'm not going to make it on time. When you realize that, reach out to dispatch. Let them know. We'll call ahead. We'll get to the customer. We'll let them know, hey, you're running late. You can't run, 70 miles an hour down the interstate in bad weather. You're going to be running, 35 or whatever it is, and we may be getting in there a couple hours late, but it's better to get there a couple hours late when the customer knows it with the load in good condition than to try to do something that you probably shouldn't do, because it's not going to help anybody.
Safely.
Yep, that's right.
And a lot of that comes to pre-planning too. If you know weather's coming in and it's a 28-hour drive to get somewhere, don't leave 29 hours before you're supposed to be there.
I won't do that again.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So speaking about being safe, what's our safety topic?
So it's two parts to it, but with today's trucks, the first part I'm going to talk about is lights. So on lights, we've got LED lights, LED tail lights. They don't put out the heat that the old lights used to put out. When you're running in inclement weather, especially with snow building up, you're going to have to clear your lights off, because it's not going to melt the snow. A lot of times you see the back of a trailer now, and it's completely white. You can't see tail lights. You can't see anything. So when you are stopping out there, clear your lenses off so that your lights will shine through. There's just not enough heat in the LED to melt it off. The other one is grease. Grease is really cheap to buy, but in cold weather, you want to make sure your fifth wheel is greased well, so that it does not freeze up on you. The worst thing you can ever have is to steer your steering wheel and that unit keeps going perfectly straight down the road, because it's not going to turn. It's froze up. So that's one thing you want to do. Make sure your fifth wheel is greased, and while you're at it, have them go ahead and grease your entire truck. Get everything greased up to where in this kind of cold weather, you've got some good lubrication in those parts that need to be moving. So.
Especially where we're doing more drop and hook, that
Yep.
coupling and uncoupling in frozen tundra is, if the jaws don't lock around that kingpin, best way is not jerk on it, because you could just be jerking on ice. Get up in there with the flashlight, make sure them jaws are around
Absolutely.
that kingpin for sure. If you drop a trailer, could be very costly.
Yeah, and to your point too, Kenny, on a fifth wheel like that, when they get really cold like that and that grease gets real thick and cold in there, sometimes it won't lock up. It won't. You got to look. For our GLS drivers who haven't spent a lot of time out in Jerome or anything, when you come in, your team is there too. Kenny's there, Joe Bill and Breezy, Ken. They're all there every single day. Stop in. We'll introduce you to everybody. You know, there's a lot of great people that work in Jerome. You know, it's good to know the office folks. We got payroll there, we got safety there, we've got everything there, and then the shop folks. You know, that way when you are out there on the road and you have a problem, you know you're going to call the shop, you know the person you're talking to, you've met them already. You know, it's always that little bit of
Makes
comfort.
a big difference.
Yeah, for sure.
You know who you're talking to.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I had one story that I was just thinking about.
Let's hear it.
All right, so I think I saw this on like a Facebook meme or something like that, but there was this guy driving, and a cop gets behind him, and he doesn't stop. He goes faster and faster and faster, and eventually the cop catches up and he pulls over. The cop comes up to me and goes, "Oh man, this is I got to be somewhere before too long. If you can tell me a wonderful story as to why you didn't pull over right when I got behind you, I'll let you go." And the guy thinks about it for a second, and he goes, "Well, years ago, my wife left me for a police officer, and I was afraid you were bringing her back."
I heard one similar to that. Cop comes up and asks the gal for her name. She says, "Frida." And then, "Well, what's your last name, man?" "To go." He goes, "Your name's Frida to go?" She goes, "Yes, thank you."
I guess I'll have to throw one out there kind of like that. There's a guy who was running down the road in a tractor trailer, you know, and he gets pulled over and the cop pulls him over and stuff. And he's going through, he says, "I need to get your permits, you know, you want to see your permit book and whatnot and your log book." And so he hollers back at his wife, and she's still in the cab of the truck. And he says, "Say, honey, can you give me my permit book and my log book?" And she says, "Yeah, which one?"
Don't do that.
Oh, fiddlesticks. Kenny, closing comments.
No, I just like to say thanks to Greg for taking the time to come out here and set the story straight, you know. I know you're busy, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Francis.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody on the team. Drivers, all of our drivers out there for the excellent job that you're doing. You know, we were talking about how we placed, you know, first place on both sides. That doesn't come easy. It's a lot of work. You do what you do an outstanding job with. You know, it relates back to our customers. It relates back to our safety. It relates back to our company. You know, we're known out there for being a good, safe fleet, and you guys are the ones that make it happen. So thank you very much for everything you do.
Ditto.
Take us home, Greg.
Well, I think you know, the main things are just, I want the drivers to know, you know, even though the drivers are the most important part of this company, but I want you to know how hard everybody is fighting for you guys, and this plan that we're executing on is for you. And if you'll be patient with us, we got some good stuff coming. So we appreciate you guys, and hang in there. We're going to do really well and do good things.
Well, as we end this episode, we want to thank you for being safe and making the right choices. Remember, you're our eyes and ears on the road. If you see something, say something. We all succeed when you complete your trip safely and you're home with your loved ones.
Go Cowboys.
Oh.